Hello you lovely people and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a navigation and autopilot demo in the BlackBox Simulations Regional SD330 / Sherpa / C-23A. As you can see, I've got the C-23A selected in the white United States Air Force livery. I already have a flight plan laid out, and it's shorter than my usual one, which is from Coningsby to Cromwell, up to Scampton, Lisbo, then down to D070T, and then back to Coningsby, purely because of the speed of the thing. It will just take forever to get round. So we'll get in the cockpit and set up for the flight. Before we get into the main meat of the autopilot and navigation, I just want to thank viewer CGNZ for his comment of the absolute glaring error that I made in my review video, where I said there's subtle differences between the 330 and the 360. Well, there's a huge difference between the 330 and the 360 in the external mode. And it's the fact that the 360 has a single fin. So thank you for pointing that out. I really appreciate that. I don't know what happened in that review video, but yeah, like I said in the reply, I will have a proper think before I actually hit the record button. So we're going to jump inside this one because there are some differences in cockpit, just to make you aware of before I get into the 330. So other than these subtle differences in actual tidiness of the aircraft in the instrument panels, we have our layout of gauges is the same. We have our GPS switch and GPS over here rather than underneath the rad-alt this time. So everything is there, and it's I believe I was told it was a custom coded Garmin 400, so slightly different to the one in the 330. We've got our weather radar change again. All our radios and ADF and Squawk box are all in the same place, so we don't need to worry about that. And we have our nav GPS switch here so that we can switch between nav radio inputs for ILS, things like that, VORs, and then obviously go to GPS to follow the flight plan. Now, I'm not going to fly the actual flight plan in this one. I'll just point out the subtle differences inside the cockpit. Autopilot's all the same, all the buttons are the same, and obviously you've got your control panel for it down here with the yaw damper, the autopilot master arm and disarm, half bank, soft ride, bank, left right, and our pitch control for vertical speed and descent and climb. On the yoke we still have our autopilot master off, so you can switch it off there as well, and that's pretty much everything covered. So now we're going to hop into the 330 and do our navigation and autopilot. So over to me. Okay, so we're on the end of 06 at Coningsby. As we've got a flight plan, we're going to use GPS, so flick the switch here, and if we zoom in just slightly here, we can take in our flight plan there. Once we get up into the air, I will set the autopilot up and zero out the altimeter, and I'm going to select the altitude of 5,000 feet. Okay, set that up. I'm going to get the armrests up, otherwise I can't get to the autopilot. Let's check the lighting situation. Landing lights on, taxi lights off, nav lights are on. Actually, no, they're not on. They are now. Okay, we get the booster pumps back on. Take them off once we get up in the air. Right, flaps are all ready. So let's put the toe brakes on, and let's throttle up. We've got full prop. Brakes off and let it roll. Keep an eye on the speed. Alright, okay, so we can turn the steering off now. 100 knots, we're going to rotate. Okay, gear up. Flaps up, trim out. And now we're going to activate the autopilot. Your damper will come on as per the default. We're going to change that from nav to GPS. Hit nav. Going to hit altitude select so that we can climb up to 5,000 feet. And start making the climb. And our aircraft should follow the magenta line, or in military terms the black line, and yeah, should be good to go. I'm just going to plumb in the ILS for Coningsby. We'll stick that in when we get a bit closer. And that's it really. Sit back, get the sandwiches out, and just keep an eye on things. We've got our weather radar on, but as you can see it's quite a nice day in the UK today. Quite a contrast to my last video, as I do everything in live weather now. So yeah, just make sure that everything is where it is, should be. Okay, good. We'll take the landing lights off now. Now see how panel, all the lights are out. Sink the prop. Okay, and I'll just speed it up from here basically. We've got a horn there saying that we're reaching our altitude. And that should switch over from altitude select to altitude any moment. There we go, we've hit 5,000 feet, and it will hold 5,000. We are over it slightly, but it will correct that. We can now throttle back, get the prop pitch down so we don't overspeed. We don't want to go over 200 knots because this thing doesn't like going any faster than that. There's RAF College Cranwell. Okay, we're getting close to being over the top of Cranwell. That will switch at any moment. There we go, we start making our first turn. And there's RAF Waddington, or Waddo, and there's the City of Lincoln, Lincoln Cathedral there. And now we are going to turn towards the coast. Okay, so we are at our waypoint at Otbed. I'm just going to pull the turn. Okay, so we're heading towards our initial point of D070M, and we are 8 nautical miles away, so we're going to start decelerating. I'm going to descend down to 3,000. Oh no, hit the wrong one, my bad. Hit the descend button. We're going to pull the prop pitch back to about 1.7 to 1.5, just so that we don't overspeed. Now we're going to turn on to Coningsby. Now going to flick the frequency over to our active. Get landing lights on. You see Coningsby out on my nose there. Get configured for our landing. Get the gear down. Close to 3,500 now. So again, that will go over from Alt Select to Alt. Okay, and we want to start thinking about hitting the approach button. In the past, this has not gone very well for me, but we'll see what happens. approach is good. Switch over to nav, go to approach. Approach is armed, so now we are going to try and line up with the runway. Glide slope is armed. The trouble I had last time was catching the glide slope. Get our flaps down all the way. Got a bit of a crosswind, we're coming in, we're crabbing in slightly, so it should be interesting. We don't really want to drop below 100 knots at the moment. Stall the aircraft. Okay, we've caught the glide slope. Sorry for the sound of excitement there, but it's the first time it's actually got it working. So this is all good. Bring it in at around about 95 to 100 knots. Keep the descent nice and slow. At this rate we won't even need to use reverse thrust. Now you can do two things once you get over the threshold. You can either deactivate the autopilot yourself by flicking this button here, autopilot, or you can disengage it using the red button on the flight yoke, or you can just leave it at around about 100 feet. The autopilot cuts out anyway, but you just need to be prepared. So if you're going to be dropping like a stone, you want to be able to flare in time. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it to cut out at 100 feet and see how we go. Beautiful weather in the south today, not so much in the north. Prop pitch to full, and we're just going to control the speed now with the throttle and not the prop pitch. Aircraft's holding the glide slope really nicely. Okay, we hit 100 feet and the autopilot has decided it didn't want to play anymore. Okay, we just bring it in nice and gently. This thing really doesn't like coming out of the air. Okay, we're down. Bit of reverse thrust. Reverse thrust off. Okay, we can taxi back to parking. So that was a flight plan and ILS. So let's just have a look at some other ways of using the autopilot and other ways of navigating. Okay, so let's have a look at the autopilot. We're currently cruising at 9,000 feet. I'm going to switch the autopilot on and press the Alt button just to hold the altitude that we're at. Okay, so we're at 9,100. Now, if we zoom in a little bit, we've got heading, nav, approach, back course, climb, descend, indicated airspeed, vertical speed, altitude select, and Alt or altitude. So, the speed bug here should work in conjunction with the indicated airspeed hold, and that apparently, according to the manual, will only kick in if we use a pre-selected altitude. So let's get a few things in place. We'll come over here and we're going to change the altitude to 6,000 and going to hit altitude select, and I'm going to throttle back slightly and take the prop pitch down. Okay, and then we're going to hit descend. Now what this will do is it will descend the aircraft until we hit our pre-selected altitude. As you can see, the indicated airspeed hold is holding at the moment, which is a good thing, and we can increase and decrease our descent or climb using this knob here. So if I push that down, it becomes more shallow. If I push it forward, it becomes a little bit steeper, and that will work again in climb. We can choose it. This is to bank left and right in our autopilot. We can choose to make that a half bank, and we can select so that we have a soft ride in the flight. Over here, autopilot engage and disengage, and your damper. That will come on automatically, but you can switch it off if you don't want it on. Okay, so we're now descending down to 6,000 feet. We're going slightly faster than our speed hold here. Now what I'm going to do is just switch it up a little bit. We are in the Lincolnshire area. I'm going to just stick the heading bug in the direction we're going and select heading. Now if I turn that, the aircraft will respond to my heading bug input. Okay, I've done the approach in the previous part. Back course will work on the other way round if you're coming in on approach and the ILS is the other way. So those two are pretty much covered. Climb, descend, I'll show you a climb to another. We'll go up to 7,000 once we hit 6, just to show you that. I've shown you altitude hold, altitude select we're currently in, vertical speed. Again, if you choose that, you can change your vertical speed using this little I don't know what you'd call that. It's not a knob or a button. It's a sort of a flick switch, and again that'll increase either your climb or your descent. Nav will hold your GPS or nav flight plan and things like that, which I showed you in the previous video, part of the video. That's it for the autopilot, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these buttons in conjunction with some navigation. So I'm going to put in Trent VOR, which is come down here. Just remove the yoke for a minute because it's in the way. We put in 115.700 and activate that. It's 58 nautical miles away. Going to change the course. And it's off to our right hand side. What's happened there? Maybe the throttle was slightly too low. We've just got a warning there. So, okay, so I've lined up the course deviation indicator with the course arrow, and now I'm going to just choose the heading bug selector. We're going to bring it round. I'm now going away from the VOR. As you can see, we've got a triangle pointing downwards, and if I select it this way and bring the heading bug all the way round to the back, we'll be going towards. As you can see, the DME is telling us where we're going and how far away we are from it. So we've now reached our altitude. I've just realised what that horn sound was. That was the autopilot altitude select, just warning me that we were approaching the altitude that we'd selected. So just going to throttle up slightly, bring the prop pitch up. Okay, and now just going to change that to 7,000 just to, you know, for reasons. So we'll click altitude select and climb, and we are going to make sure that the climb just make it a nice shallow climb. If we flick it back, make it a little bit more aggressive. Actually, I think I've done that the wrong way round. There we go, yeah. So we're going up, and make that a bit more aggressive, a bit more of an aggressive climb, get there quicker. Prop pitch full, throttle full, don't want to lose too much airspeed. Okay, we're just slightly off course with the heading bug for Trent VOR, and that horn light warning there is telling us we're nearly at 7,000 feet, so we can throttle back slightly now, take prop pitch back. Okay, so I'm not going to take it all the way to Trent, but what I am going to do is I'm going to plumb in Ottringham VOR, which is 113.900. Make that active. Okay, and we're 16 miles away from that. We rotate the course needle and bring the CDI in level with it, turn the heading bug to where we want to go, and we'll make our turn towards Ottringham. We're at 7,000 feet. Everything's good. So yeah, we're chasing VORs in the traditional sense. Obviously not doing it manually because it might be a bit too much, but we are chasing VORs with the autopilot. Doesn't have a TACAN, so don't look for that, as you won't find it. Not in this version anyway. And we can chase ADFs using this gauge here. Okay, so we're going to try an NDB here on the ADF. So 423 we're looking at. And that should be for RAF Cranwell. Flick that over. And we've got ADF here and ADF there. So I'm going to use the green arrow here for ADF as we've selected. You can use this with VOR as well. And so we will turn round using the heading bug. Just going to turn on to 210. Actually, no, we'll go to 200. You won't get any DME for the ADF. It's purely just a point in what's the word? Phrase I'm looking for, dead reckoning sort of thing. It will take you just straight to the airfield, and it won't give you any distance. So we're just going to head in that direction and see if we can get the arrow to swing up around as we fly over the top. And we're back at the RAF College at Cranwell. We've chased the NDB using the ADF, tuning in over there, selecting ADF here and following the green arrow. It took longer than I thought. I didn't realise I was quite that far away from the airfield, so I apologise for that. But that's just a demo of how you can chase ADFs as well, or NDBs, I apologise. Once we get over the top, that will swing round, so it's facing down, so we're flying away from it. I believe the NDB's down here somewhere, or just that could be it there. Okay, and there it goes. It's starting to swing round, and that's chasing an NDB using the ADF. So I've covered Autopilot, I've covered chasing VORs, I've done ILS, I've done NDBs with ADF, I've done all the modes in the Autopilot. So I think I've pretty much covered all of that. And like I say, there's no TACAN, so unfortunately I can't show that. You just have to write down the VOR frequency, for a military airfield and use that instead. So I hope you got something from that. Apologies for the length of the video, but quite a lot of stuff to cover, and due to the low speed of the aircraft, the area feels a lot larger over the UK than it actually is. So if you've got this far, thank you very much for watching, and as always, take care. I'll catch you in the next one.